about how to reference. You have practiced this a little bit, and it's very important to think about paraphrasing to reference. What does paraphrasing mean? Here I have a quote for you that we're going to think about. It's a quote with double quotation marks, which is actually APA style. I'll show you an example with Harvard soon. What does that quotation mean? Paraphrasing occurs when you express what are clearly another person's words in your own words, or mostly in your own words. How would you paraphrase that in speaking to me? So to you, what is paraphrasing? It's actually quite a challenging skill because it doesn't happen quickly. Did you find it challenging to paraphrase for the paragraph? You wrote already? Yes? No? Easy? Quick? It takes time to do this well. It's a skill that you'll be developing over your whole career as a student, and then you will even continue to improve. It's part of improving your writing. Okay, so there's the original quotation. Here is what? It says source. What is that example there of? Where would we find this? In the reference list, yes, exactly. And we don't have an in-text reference yet because this is the quote. If we placed it like a quote, we would still in-text reference this. How would it look? So let's think about that. Let's look at an example. Why is this a poor example of paraphrasing? Poor, meaning not as good as it could be, not acceptable.
It's not in the third person?
Third person, which bit? You, yeah. Not happy with that? That's a little bit informal for academic style. And certainly for core, we don't want you to write with using you or I. There are some subjects where you might do that though, so. But you would still be academic, and so what is academic writing? What else would you say is not appropriate here or needs changing or improving to be better? Is the reference good? It says Burton. Is that correct? Is that where we put it? At the end of the sentence? Before the dot? The full stop? Not sure? The reference is okay. It's in Harvard. How do I know? It has no comma. So our Harvard, we don't put a comma here. We just have surname, the author's surname, and their date. That's okay. Why else is it poor? Why is it poor besides the first person? What do you think? This is a paraphrase, which means it should be in the student's own words. Is it in the student's own words? It's actually what I call a lazy paraphrase because it is too much like the original sentence structure and style. So most of the words have been copied. It's a lazy paraphrase. If you take phrases or big chunks, very similar to the original. So this would come up in Safe Assign as being very similar to Burton in this case. So let's look at some better examples. I have two. How are they different? And this is not in Harvard. We've got a comma here. This is APA style, so I'm just jumping between two different styles. So the previous example was Harvard. This one is now APA. The top one could be either because it looks exactly the same. But let's look at what is written and why these are better. What has the student done to make these more acceptable paraphrases that do not require quotation marks? So better style, third person, good. What else have they done? Not exactly the same, so they've done a better paraphrase by rewording it. It may not be the perfect words. Sometimes you can't. But they're the student's words. They're academic. And they have restructured the order of information. This is probably a good tip for paraphrasing. Restructure the order so that it suits you and changing the words that you can change. Some words you can't change there. Which ones couldn't you change? Paraphrasing, exactly. I like to identify those words first because I think you can then identify some that you can change. But restructuring it in the order is probably that you would like is probably a good way to start, and then start to reword some of the similar words, what we call synonyms. Using some synonyms or some phrases. The paraphrase may be a little bit longer than the original, because sometimes you need a phrase to explain one word. The other thing, the first example has a focus on Burton, who is the author. So we call that giving focus to the author. The second example, although it's APA, we could change this easily to Harvard by taking away the comma, but the focus is on what here? Or the emphasis. The first wording is paraphrasing. So if we wanted this paraphrase to focus on the information more than the author, we started with the word paraphrasing or the topic. So this is what you are doing in your essay and report.